Hey, Rolling Out family. Welcome to another edition of Arts and Culture, where we spotlight the creators shaping our world through performance, passion, and power. Today, we're excited to welcome the talented Jahi Kearse, an actor whose charisma, range, and dedication have brought unforgettable characters to life on stage and screen. Currently captivating audiences as Toulouse Lautrec in the hit musical Moulin Rouge, Jahi brings heart, humor, and artistic soul to this iconic role. Let's dive into the artistry and the insights of this rising star. Jahi, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to speak to you. Let me
It
just
is.
jump right in.
Okay.
Can you tell us about your journey into acting? What drew you to the craft?
Wow. Well, I've been a performer my entire life, into my 40s now. And I started my first theatrical production professionally was when I was 8 years old. So it's been a life in the theater and in the arts. My parents are met each other in Atlanta, Georgia at college, and so they stayed there, and that's where I was born in Atlanta. Growing up, I was in a youth choir at my mom's church. My father was the artistic director of an arts organization at the time called the Arts Exchange of Atlanta,
Mhm.
and it was a property, a building essentially that housed visual artists. It had a couple of theater companies, some dance companies, a recording studio in the basement. So I kind of grew up around the arts and spirituality kind of in combination. And so I was singing in the youth choir, and through a connection of my father, the Alliance Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, was looking for young people to be a part of a musical that was coming into their season in Atlanta. It was a show that had been on Broadway, and then was traveling around the road on its way back to Broadway for a short stint. And it was called The Gospel at Colonus. And it starred Morgan Freeman as the lead character. And then it had the Blind Boys of Alabama and the Clark sisters and a huge gospel choir and a couple of dance companies. So I auditioned as one of the children in my children's choir at my mother's church. I
Mhm.
booked the show, and I started working in this production, and it was unlike anything I had ever experienced before. The scale of it was massive, even for a young person. Uh, it was over 50 people performing every night. The colors, the music, the dancing, the power of Morgan Freeman's voice. As a child, I was hooked. And so from that point on, I just started booking more and more work as a young performer. I actually never stopped booking paying work after that point. So it's been a life in the arts.
So there was never a question. This is what you were going to do.
It seemed like it was just like tailor made.
So, and I just got to back up a little bit. So, you mean
Okay.
to tell me one of the first major gigs you had Morgan Freeman as the lead?
As the lead. Yeah, yeah. So I had a high bar for what I believe good work was.
Yo, that's amazing. So, okay, so
Yeah.
look, if you have this high bar, it's clear that you're an amazing performer, actor. What? Tell us about the opportunity to play Toulouse-Lautrec and Moulin Rouge. How did that come about for you?
Well, I mean, as all things do in theater and television and film, there are auditions. Ironically, I'm one of my closest friends in life, who I also kind of grew up with around in Atlanta, originated this particular role on Broadway. His name is Sa Gouja, an amazing actor who also was nominated for a Tony in Fela previously. But so it's just circular that I ended up having an opportunity to take this journey with Toulouse. I auditioned for it. My agency, like a couple of years ago, had auditions while I was in New York for this particular leg of the journey of Moulin Rouge, and I auditioned. COVID had changed the landscape of a lot of things around the world, but specifically for theater, there were a lot of Zoom auditions at the time. So I had Zoomed in an audition with one of the associate directors, and then I sent a tape in also of myself singing some of the songs and doing some of the monologues. And then I was called in for a callback in New York. I did that, and then I made it to a final round of auditions. And at that particular moment in time, I didn't get the role
Hmm.
at that time. So I went about my journey. I did a couple of other cool gigs, the Hippest Trip, which is a Soul Train musical, which is coming soon. I did an adaptation of The Preacher's Wife at the Alliance in Atlanta, and then out of the blue, the production team at Moulin Rouge sent an email asking if I could send in another tape for the role because they needed somebody to come in for another leg of the production. And I sent the tape in, same structure, a couple of the songs and a couple of the monologues from the show, and I booked it. And so here I am.
That's amazing. So, how have you made the role of Toulouse your own?
Well, he's a very kooky character. He's a real man who lived in life. This
Hmm.
obviously in the production is kind of an imagination of him as a person, um, or how he would live. But he was an aristocrat, born in the aristocracy. His parents were of wealth. But he had a debilitating condition. He hurt his legs when he was young, and it stunted his growth, and he became a short-statured man. And so that he struggled with that a lot in his life. He was a painter. He fell in love with the bohemian lifestyle, with dancers and performers and poets. So he all with his struggles with his debilitation and his history as a child of the aristocracy, he started formulating some thoughts where he fell in love with the people in the bohemian lifestyle who
Hmm.
a lot of times struggled in life, but he was born in the aristocracy, so he had these dual ideas of what life could be. So
Hmm.
for me, I found that very interesting, this man who in a lot of ways turned away from some of the comfort, and more ease of life that he was afforded through his parents, because he fell in love with the freedom and the kind of intoxicating energy that the life of bohemians live. So for me, I I I appreciate a lot of the fine things that life has to offer. Theater has allowed me to travel the world. I met some incredible people, but I've also got to spend time, a lot of time, in many places just where people live day to day and deal with the things that they go through. And so through my lifelong journey of meeting people and seeing odd characters, I've just pulled pieces from some kooky cats that I have met along the way, some zany personalities and some revolutionary thinkers, and kind of molded them all together, and experiencing Toulouse in Moulin Rouge as I would experience him, with those pieces of my personal history, kind of smudged in.
Yes, yes. So, Moulin Rouge is known for its energy, emotional complexity. How do you
Yeah,
stay connected to your character through all of this spectacle that's going on?
it's quite a party. If you've never seen the film, this would be a wonderful entrance into the world of Moulin Rouge. So come out and journey with us. It is a spectacle for sure. Toulouse, like I said, is a bit of a revolutionary. He believed that the aristocracy or people of wealth had a security or an ease of life that everybody else wasn't afforded. Um, and so he wanted to find a way to bridge that gap, that the people that he fell in love with, those bohemians who struggled, he felt necessarily shouldn't struggle as much, that there had to be a way to bring everybody closer to the middle. So for me, it's easy because Toulouse is a bit of the heartbeat in the show. He is a bit of the reality in the world of this spectacle. There's a beautiful love story that's in the middle of Moulin Rouge, and the dancers are kicking and hoofing and sweating and jumping and twirling, and the singing and the lights and the costumes is all extravagant. But in the middle of it, there's this character, Toulouse, who's saying, yeah, but we're turning our eye away from people who are struggling. We're turning our eye away from people who have power over other people and use that power in proper ways. These are things that we can correct, and we can all live inside of this beautiful spectacle. So it's a bit easy, because what Toulouse wants is the party to continue, but continue for everybody, not just a few.
That's interesting. So, what has playing this character taught you about creativity,
Mm,
resilience, and accessibility?
yeah, that's a great question. Um, like I said, he was a man who had a debilitating condition, and he struggled with that. But through those struggles, which also led into some other vices that he had problems with, alcohol and some sexual issues down the line, and some mental emotional issues. He still created. He still wanted to push the envelope. He still strove to find a way to make things better for those around him who he cared about, and for himself as well. So I gain a lot from him. I mean, he was, at least what I am learning from him on my personal journey, is that even inside of the struggles that he personally went through, he still found a way to treat every night with the special nature that it deserves. He wanted to party. He wanted to express love to those that he loved. He wanted to observe the beauty around him. And so, in that, he found resiliency. He also looked at himself and his family in the mirror, and he said, yes, I have this money, but I don't like the way that we live all the time. So let me find a group of people who I do believe have some ideas that I associate with and I want to be associated with. So in that, I see some resiliency and some effort to evolve. And so
Mm.
those traits, I think I see in him. Being allowed to portray him are only helping to build those same type of creative and community building energies inside of me.
I see, I see some similarities between you and Toulouse based
Mhm.
on, speaking clearly, specifically from the creative aspect of things. And you
Yeah.
grew up in this creative family, steeped in activism and spirituality.
Mhm.
Why would you say that creativity is so important to this world today?
Well, I mean, without jumping on a slippery slope, we are in a land of that affords us a lot of freedoms, and the freedom of speech. So in a world where people can say what they feel and say what they believe, there are a lot of slippery slopes. It's sometimes we don't like what certain people say, but we have to understand they have the freedom to say those things. Um, I think it's very important, even in a world where we have such freedoms, where we can express ourselves, you know, with freedom, that we understand that with great freedom comes great responsibility. And we're not just here by ourselves, we're here with many different people with many different beliefs and many different ideas about what life means. But at the end of the day, we all want a life that's easy and a life that is open for us to love those that we care about. So I think that creativity, specifically the Moulin Rouge, it's a night of celebration and joy and partying and singing through all these pop songs and falling in love with this beautiful love story that's at the middle of it. And at the same time, once everybody is inside of this one moment together, looking around the audience inside of this black box in the theater, we see that we're not just here with just black people, but there's some older white cats and some beautiful older white mothers and some Asian young people who were in the audience the other day, and a sister who was, done up in his drag, you know what I mean, their drag. And we're in a world that allows people to be their fullest selves, right?
Yes.
And we should create a society that allows for everyone within safe parameters to enjoy each other's ideas. Even if I don't necessarily agree or believe, I can hear you, I
Hmm.
can listen to you, and I can find some way to come to the middle, not to necessarily say, you know what, you're right, but to say, at the end of the day, I think this, you think that, but damn it, your makeup looks good. Let's have a
Yeah.
beer. You know what I'm saying? Let's
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah.
these dancers. Let's enjoy the game of life. And then through that, we can build better tomorrows. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily that we all have to agree on everything all the time, but that we can find space to live in this small world together.
I love that perspective because at its core, this production does focus on the beauty of creativity and freedom, and I love that you shared it in that way.
Cheers.
Um, you know, this is a high energy production. So how do you maintain your energy after such a demanding schedule with the rehearsals, the
Yeah,
singing, the dancing? Like, what do you
yeah.
do to unwind?
Um, it's different for a lot of people. I mean, like I said, the dancers are giving physically their life every single night. So what they have to do to recuperate, I can't even imagine in the type of effort that they give every night. But everybody gives kind of a Herculean effort every night in their own ways. The tech crew, the staff at the theaters, the creators, everybody. So, but for me, I have to be quiet. It's a lot of talking and a lot of singing. So I have to try to dial it back to give my voice some time to rebound. A lot of water, a lot of drinking water to hydrate. I'm reading. I do that in general, but it helps me to keep my myself open to different ideas. But just I'm lucky enough to be here in Chicago now, so I'm going to go to the museum. I'm going to go down by the lake. I'm going to eat some good food. I'm going to see some friends who are in the city. So just in the moments of freedom that we have, rest and recuperation.
Yes, yes. So outside of Moulin Rouge, what's a dream role that you hope to take on in the future?
Oh wow. um, that's a very good question.
Put it out there.
I I yeah. Like I said, that's there are some villains out there, some villainous roles that I've never really gotten a chance to play a Disney type villain. I could
Uh,
go for this is kind of campy and lame. I'm giving a lame answer, but I could go for a Jafar in Disney just because of the pure, like cartoon villainy. That would be
mhm.
some fun stuff to dig into. But there's a lot of roles. I mean, there's a Katori Hall play that I would love to be involved with at some point in time called The Mountaintop, where she has this
Mhm.
version of Martin Luther King that I think is a beautiful role. There's some August Wilson roles that at a particular
Mm.
time I was too young to be cast in, but now, I've lived some life. So I can see myself doing a couple of August Wilson roles. I- any role that allows me to speak into the same type of life that Toulouse is allowing me to speak in, where there's the joy of life, but also some lessons that we can learn together. That's the person that I want to continue to grow inside of.
Now, going back to the genesis, from what your parents created and how you grew up,
Mhm.
why would you say it's important for youth, especially Black youth, to see themselves as change makers through the arts?
Well, because we are historically. I mean, there so much of where we are globally, but especially here in the United States, would not be what it is were it not for young Black people who grew into older Black people through the struggles of our cycles here in America. We are the artistic ground layers and earth shakers. We are the genesis for a lot of progressive change in music and TV and film and dance. And so it is important. that we not shy away from what God and the universe, or generational passing down of energy, has gifted us as Black people in America. We have seen so much struggle, and we have so much love in us as a people, and we have so much spiritual connections and emotional connections to our people. That's just something inside of Black people, innately, naturally, that we need our young people to express themselves as fully as possible, not just latching into what's easy to find in pop culture and pop hip hop and pop R&B. Like, those things are beautiful, but we have a very broad, diverse culture. And so it's important for our young people to explore, to know our history in the entertainment, in the visual arts, in the creative writing arts, oratory arts. Like, it's important that we have our best and brightest shine as brightly as possible, because again, the world would not be where it is were it not for us.
Yes, yes, 100%. So what can people expect at the production of Moulin Rouge, the musical, in Chicago at the Cadillac Palace Theater?
Okay, what can you expect? A party. I guarantee it. It's gonna start off with a party, and we're gonna roll out with some Outcast at the end. So you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
gonna be legs for life, beautiful ladies in heels, and we call them heels and flats. So we have hims and hers and them and theys, and we are partying in the most beautiful diamond studded attire, and tailcoats and top hats and fireworks, and it's an extravaganza. I guarantee you will walk out hoarse because you've sung all night long and you danced in your seats. It is a party for sure.
Yes, yes. So lastly,
Yeah.
what legacy do you hope to leave, not just as a performer, but as
Mhm.
someone who uses their platform for impact?
I hope that I can be, that's a big question. I hope I can be remembered as somebody who put everything out on the table, who laid out all the cards, who gave all the blood, sweat, and tears available to speak to the world and say, we are so special. Let's not squander it. Let's not spend our best energy finding ways to stifle one another, to separate each other, or separate ourselves from each other. Let's live our lives together and grow and build and party and evolve together. I hope that I can be remembered through my art and through my actions as a man, as a Black man, as a performer, as an activist, as a son, a brother, a father, who did his best to change the world daily for the better.
Yes, yes. Jahi, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can the people
Cheers.
find you?
You can find me specifically here in Chicago at the Cadillac Palace Theater. We'll be here till April 20th. And you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram at Jahi Kearse.
Yes, yes. Roll It Out family. This has been Arts and Culture, and a big thank you to Jahi Kearse for giving us a
Mhm.
glimpse into his world and his work. Rolling Out
Absolutely.
family, don't miss your chance to see him bring the iconic Toulouse Lautrec to life at Moulin Rouge. It's running at the Cadillac Palace Theater from April 2nd to April 20th, 2025. Grab your
Absolutely.
tickets, bring your people, experience the energy, the elegance, and the excellence of an exceptional show. This is your man
Indeed.
Precise. And as I always say, stay focused, positive, and productive. Peace.